G'day guys, welcome to Karen's Chaos. That's what I'm going to call today, Karen's Chaos. Wow. Talk about technical difficulties and brain strain. This is killing me. I'm not a tech person, okay? I'll be honest with you. As I've said to you from day dot, I will be honest with you, I'm not tech savvy. I am working this out as I go. And when your camcorder decides to break and format and all those big words that my husband throws around all the time, oh, kills me. And then YouTube decided this morning to play silly buggers with me. I'm telling you, it was not fun. Sorry, I'm talking to Kel. Hi, Kel. I was talking and I'm no longer procrastinating. I am now doing my voiceover. Then I'm going to make my sausage rolls for my children for dinner. Yes, there's vegetables involved, and if that's the format in which they will eat the vegetables without complaining, that is how I will deliver them to my children. Okay, so what am I making? I'm using Bella Boulevard You Are My Sunshine. That is the piece of paper that I've used. I cut it in half. I have, as I said, had technical difficulties today. Oh, and for some reason it was in between because I filmed some of this yesterday afternoon and the rest of it today. And without boring you and going right into ridiculous detail, let's have a look at the mistake that I just made. Can you see the mistake I just made? Okay, check this out. So instead of using a 12 by 12 for my black offset for my title, I decided to pull, I don't even know why I did this. I never do this, but I grabbed one of my A4 sheets and I just quickly backed it down and I didn't check my numbers. Something that is super important when you're using a Cricut or a silhouette or any of that, look at the numbers. They're there for a reason. It doesn't happen to me often, but it does happen. And you know what? I'm not crying over it. I'm sucking it up. Look, it's pretty simple to fix. I didn't throw it away. I didn't recut it. I didn't waste all the cardstock. I just, oh, can you hear the cockatoos? Apparently we've got an entire flock of them going over my house right now. It is currently 6:40 p.m. and we're on summer school holidays, and the cockatoos have decided that they'll join us for a voiceover. Okay, so all I did is I just traced around it, and you know what? It looks fine. You can't even notice it. It's not worth wasting the cardstock because that's money that you've earned. That's money that you've spent. I did have a little bit of a procrastinate here though. I really liked that when I turned it over. This is what I talk about with these little tiny prints. You might think to yourself, in a 12 by 12, it's really overwhelming. Where am I ever going to use that? But when you cut it smaller, it looks really nice. Now, the problem with it was I didn't reverse it to cut it, obviously. So I couldn't flip them over because my Z would be going the wrong way, blah, blah, blah. So I stuck with the original plan. But the original plan was this, not to have each letter a single colour, like have it go across in the way it is now. So I really like how it turned out. Quite enjoyed that. It was fun. Now, the bit of footage that I've lost, thank you SD card in my camera, I promise that is the last of the things that are lost. So I really hate it because it bugs me when I just can't even go back and redo it because I don't have any more of the paper. So what I actually did is these coloured strips, when I bring my 12 by 12 back over here, you'll see what I've done is the strips, I cut the 12 by 12 in half, right? Portrait style. So I ended up with 2 mirror pieces. Then what I did is each coloured strip, I cut on the diagonal from corner to corner. So it's 6 inches wide, but it's on the diagonal. And that way, when I stacked them on my page, you'll see here very, very shortly, see how they look? Now, what I actually did is I put the flat side, so it's one piece and I've just separated it across. I didn't measure it. I didn't sit and measure to make sure everything sat perfectly, because you know what? No one's going to sit there going through your album and looking to make sure that everything is perfectly lined up and it's 2 mil from the edge and it's blah, blah, blah. Seriously, there is a lot more that you can do than measuring each little bit. Looking at that right now, it's awesome. Now, the other thing that I did do on here is I actually have recently, in my advent calendar, I got a star stencil from Crazy Craft Obsessions, and I got to be honest, this is a really good stencil. I don't know, it's thick, it's sturdy, I really like it. So I don't know if they have any more, but I'm just letting you know that's where I got the star stencil from. Now, I went over it with my TCW Light and Fluffy modelling paste. Now, what I actually did is I went over and made it as even as I possibly could. Again, it's in the lost footage. But I went through, and what I did is I masked off the edges of the stars that were bits and pieces, right? I'll take a photo of it and put it over on the Facebook group so you can see, you'll be able to figure out what I did from it. And then I twisted the star stencil sideways so that my stars were running up the center. And all I'm going around right now with a black POSCA paint pen, and it is my 0.7mm one. I absolutely love. I'm going to say it and I'm going to scream it from the rooftops. If you are on a budget and you scrap on a budget and you want to make sure that things pop, it's that one extra bit that makes the difference. These pens are worth every cent. They really, really are. I cannot stress enough how amazing these pens are. And if you're not like me and you don't drag them across, distress oxide inks that you've put down that are not dry, if you don't do that, you don't wreck them. They're fantastic, and they go for, I do a lot of line work, and because I love that repetitive look of, shapes and all that sort of thing. Like, you can see the stars on here and they looked good, but I wanted to, because I have in the photo, the top photo where my daughter, this is Angela, by the way, so both these photos are of Angela, and the top one, we were at Archfield Speedway, and that's where my husband and I had our very first date, fun fact. And we went back there, and she had her little earmuffs on, and she was, the whole time, she was like, zoom, zoom, like little kids do. And yeah, it was awesome. And then the bottom photo, she's running around the front yard, literally going zoom, zoom, zoom. So I had to put the two photos together. Now, what actually worked really well is the top photo, she's wearing blues. So that photo went really well over the blue section. And then the pinks down the bottom, it went with that. So it tied in really, really nicely. Now, this 12 by 12 layout it's used pretty much, by the time I did the title, because I turned it on its side, I've ended up using quite a fair bit of the page. I have kept a few extra bits because I do have some coordinating cardstock that I still have in my stash. So, and I will come back to that when I see fit and I have the photos that will go with it really well. And yes, I know that the words that I've written there, zoomies is not a word, but you know what? That's what she was saying, so that's what I decided to use as my title. And Mama, that's what she used to always get my face with two hands, and she'd go, Mama, Mama. It was so cute. And yeah, so, and woohoo was literally what she was saying as she was running around in circles. So that's how I got my title. Now, this is where you need to go, okay, this is where the black pen comes into its own, right? Just adding these few extra lines, it kind of creates a shadow, And there is nothing technical on here. There is no ephemera. I haven't loaded up. Did you see that big smudge then? Isn't it awesome? I love it when I smudge a pen. Not. I'm such a dork. I really am. Okay, so what I was doing is I put these lines here, and that's when I went, ooh, I like that. I'm really starting to like this. And then my border was bugging me. So that's when I went, do I want to do something with that border? Do I want to do it now? Or, see, I'm tapping. And then I realised, you know what? One, I have to fix that bit of paint pen up. Now, this is the Faber-Castell. It's got a blue, I think they call it an ink eraser, something like that. It's an ink eraser, but it's not coarse. You remember, I don't know if you had these when you were kids, but when we were learning to write, oh my God, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, we used to have these, we used to call them rubbers. We didn't call them erasers, we call them rubbers. Long before condoms were even a thought. Now, the eraser on the end of that used to be grey, and it was really gritty, and it would basically roll your paper off. You'd rip a hole in your paper before you erase the ink. But this one's actually really gentle, so it took that off, no problems at all. So it doesn't bug me. And then after I've stuck everything down, I thought I need some glitter on here. So I went for my STICKLES glitter gel in Nebula because it had some little gold stars in it. And I thought, you know what? That would actually work here. It's going to be just enough, not too much, just enough. And yeah, that will work. Would it have been easier for me to do this prior to sticking everything down? Please learn from my mistake. Yes, it would have been. But hey, I made it work. It's all good. It's texture. It's fun. And still, while I was doing that, I was still procrastinating. I'm going to do something with this border. Now, when you do a border, what are the rules? There are no rules. That's the fun part about our craft. There's no rules, guys. You can do whatever you want. So basically, okay, here's where I ran into a hiccup because I'm right-handed. Okay, well, I'm ambidextrous, but I generally write with my right hand, okay? Now, I'm writing down the page instead of up the page. So that's why I look a little bit awkward doing this. I don't know why I was doing it this way. I think I do it like this because I like to keep my head out of the camera shot. But anyway, so when you're doing a border, you can do circles, you can do lines, you can do dots, you can do squares, you can do rectangles with lines, dots and dashes. You can do anything you desire. There is no right, there is no wrong. You don't have to use a paint pen. You can use a gel pen. You can use pencils. You can use a biro, for crying out loud. Like, it doesn't matter. Your supplies are what you will make of them. You would be very surprised how good a Bic biro can create a nice border. You know, you really can. So when it comes to your supplies, I know I say this all the time, and I know I'm extremely lucky to have what I've got, and it doesn't mean that you have to spend the earth to create great pages. This page was created using a stencil, yes, that I've just got. Absolutely. Could you cut some stars out of and make your own stencil? Yeah, of course you can. Why not? You can cut it out of some white cardstock. I will be honest, the TCW, which is short for the Crafters Workshop, light and fluffy modeling paste. It is awesome. What I'm going to be very interested to see is how it fares compared to the Montmartre one that I use normally is my go-to. I want to see how it's going to go with our hot summer, because I don't know why it feels like a drier consistency. So it'll be interesting to see how that travels. But yeah, so all I'm doing here is I'm just finishing off this border. Everything else, this is literally all I use. There's nothing overly technical on this page. You could do this with, if you have a 6x6 paper pad, guess what? You can do this. You can adapt it. You can make them, instead of being plain, you could make them these triangles before you cut them in half. You could stamp on them. You could do color on color stamping on them to create patterns. You could go around the outside border with a stamp before you stick everything down to create your border. There is so many different ways you can make something like this work for you and your photos. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate every like, every comment. And if you're not subscribed, I would love to have you as a subscriber. I do load up 6 videos a week. Even when I'm having technical difficulties, I will stay up till midnight until it works for me. So thank you so much for watching. I will have everything linked below, including my social medias, if you would like to jump over and join the Facebook group. That is where I add in all my photos and close-ups of everything, and you'll see all the mistakes up close and personal. And that is called just being open and just being honest. You too can create this look. Thank you so much for watching, and I will chat to you soon, guys. Bye for now.